Welcome to Buddy Training. My name is Justine, and many of you have already gotten some emails from me. I help with buddy coordinating. I help with training. I talk really loud and I talk really fast, so that's why they picked me in this role. So lucky you. If I start to talk too fast, just tell me to slow down. If we have questions, go ahead and ask them. Before we get started, how many of you are new? Never done any?
Oh, sorry, I've done it.
You were so eager and so excited. So that's awesome. I love to see new people coming to be buddies for us. I want to say that we have 100 kings and queens now. I think so, maybe 101, give or take. So 100 kings and queens, which means we need 100 buddies to pull this off, plus probably another 700 volunteers just to make everything else work the way that it's supposed to. But you guys have the most important job. So that's the job of being paired with one of our kings or queens for the night for this prom. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving up your time today to listen to me. Thank you for reading all the emails. Thank you for looking at all of the links that I sent you and all the videos. And then, of course, thank you for giving up your time. So there you go. So we need 106 of you. So if I don't think that we're at that number yet for our buddies. So if you know anybody that's thinking this might be a very fun opportunity, or after you're done today, you think, hey, this is great. We do have another session, a training session just like this here on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And if needed, I will always create a third virtual option for anybody that hasn't been trained. Ideally, if you've done this before, technically you can kind of walk through it, but it changes every year. So it's important, and we really just, based on the Tim Tebow Foundation and how they want us to move forward with this, it's super important that we try to stick to those rules, which is in-person training. So thank you guys for coming. So the first thing I want to do is obviously just remind us why we're all here. So Night to Shine is a prom for people with special needs. Ideally, we are here to remind our special honored guests that they are an important part of God's kingdom, right? So that's the mission statement for Night to Shine, and that's apparently right up on our board here: to share the love of God with people living with disabilities through an annual event that celebrates their worth and value. Okay? So tonight what we are going to do is we're going to start out with kind of a little video from last year. We always think it's really nice for our newbies to kind of see what we've done previously. And then we're going to literally walk through this event from beginning to end. So we'll talk about what you need to do. We'll talk about etiquette. Some of the resources that all of you have are the same things we talk about, but they're good references for you. But we'll talk about just dress apparel, how we interact with our buddies, or our kings and our queens, and expectations throughout the night, okay? So, Pastor Rich, could you please play the 2024 it's really fun. So again, you probably saw a few different things. You probably realized, first of all, that there's 2 locations that are occurring in that video. You will be at 2 locations for the evening. So those are some things to keep in mind as we talk through this. Again, we'll talk about arrival times and kind of what that shuttling looks like back and forth. The balloon drop is a huge big deal. We do it every single year. That's why we have to make sure it gets in every video, and our kings and queens love it. So again, that just really highlights a lot of the things you're going to see. This room will be transformed into karaoke that night, so we have a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, so as we get started, I think we'll start with basic how we address our kings and queens. It's in your paper little pamphlets that you guys got. There is one that's on disability etiquette and relationship building. And so there's a video that I sent you guys already, the link in there. It's really important that you do watch it. It will talk about how we build those relationships with our kings and queens. Again, we will talk about it a little bit as we go through the night, but something I just want to highlight before we get into all the ins and outs of the night is the importance of people first language when it comes to working with our kings and queens. Our kings and queens are just like the rest of us. They like football, they like PlayStation, they like gardening. What they don't like is to be defined by a disability. So the best thing that we can do is kind of to look at that disability etiquette and relationship building resource, to watch that link and to really understand how we can build relationship with our kings and queens. And that means things as even to how we talk with them. We don't need to talk to them like they're children or like a baby. Many of them are very high functioning. So we just want to make sure that we're being cognizant of that. I think that's a really important document. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that they have it. Take a time to look through it. I think the night of, when you are waiting for your kings and queens to arrive, we typically have these resources sitting at tables as well, just as quick refreshers for you to take a look at, to make sure that you feel comfortable as you move through the night. Okay, so as we get started, first thing, we're going to the prom. What do we wear? So we do not expect any of you to go out and buy a brand new ball gown. We do not expect gentlemen to go out and buy a brand new suit. You're welcome to, if that's what you like to do. If it's your excuse to go shopping, then go ahead and do that. But ideally, it is the prom, right? So if we can, we love to be able to dress up for our kings and queens. Our kings and queens are actually provided an opportunity to go shopping at St. Vincent's in Plymouth. So right now, anybody that donates anything into the Plymouth St. Vincent, they can go in there, let them know that they're donating for Night to Shine. And so our kings and queens can kind of go in there and have their own shopping experience already. So that's something that they have the option to do. So they're getting dressed up, and when we can, of course, we love to do that. So if you have an old bridesmaid's dress, mother of the bride's dress, old suit coat sitting around and you want to play that part, we love to see that happen. So as we talk about how we're dressed, we're ready to go. When are we arriving and where are we going, right? So this is Christian Life, and we are going to start at Christian Life, and then we are going to get transported via a shuttle to Salem UCC, okay? The reason we're starting at Christian Life is because this is where the party happens. And at the end of the day, when the party's over, we need you here so that we don't have to shuttle you back to another location, right? So you start here. Right now, our first kings and queens are set to arrive at 4:30. That does not mean that every single buddy that is here is arriving at 4 o'clock to get over to Salem on time. I believe that all of you should have received some sort of an email that asks you what time you can arrive. So if you haven't received that or haven't filled it out, I would just ask that you do that. Last year, we did have a lot of people that maybe waited a little bit at Salem, waiting for their kings and queens. We are trying to avoid some of that unnecessary wait time. But of course, if I have 10 people showing up at 4:30 and I only have 4 buddies signed up for 4:30, I might be making some last minute email pleas to see if there's anybody that's able to show up for that earlier time. Okay, so we don't control as much when the kings and queens sign up. We try to control how many people we can get there on time to be with them. So first king and queen is arriving at 4:30. That means first buddies need to arrive by 4 o'clock. Again, that would be here at Christian Life. If we do have the map, if we're able to show that, that would be great. So you're arriving here at Christian Life, where that carport and the red star there is kind of that carport. That's where you guys can enter. With regard to, and we don't have a picture of the parking lot, but you all probably parked in our parking lot. Ideally, we try to avoid coming in. Pastor Rich, I'm not from Plymouth, so what is this? Is this Creamery Road over here? And what is this? Rustic. We try not to have people enter via rustic and to come around the back and enter via crummery. The reason we do that is because the shuttles are leaving this way. If you're all coming in, it just creates a traffic jam. We are trying to avoid traffic jams. So what we like to do is to have people come around past rustic, go around the back of the church, and then come in through crummery. So if you can do that, you will see people out there. Were you going to say something? No? Okay, sorry. So we will have people out there kind of helping to direct you on where to park, but typically you're parking as far away from the building as possible, again, because we don't want that additional traffic in our carport area as we start to shuttle people in and out. So you're arriving based on kind of your scheduled arrival time. If you said that you can be here by 5 to meet a king or queen, perhaps, then we'd expect that you could hopefully be here by 4:30 to take a shuttle over to Salem to be there on time and signed in before your king or queen arrives. Reminder that our kings and queens are usually very excited for this night, so sometimes they say they're going to arrive at 5 and they arrive at 4:30. So like I said, we do try our best to have as many people there as possible. If you don't mind waiting, thank you very much for being patient with us. We're happy to have you there earlier. We usually do have some refreshments, snacks for our buddies so that they can get a nice bite to eat. Once you get here, there is still food, but you might be busy, and that we just want to make sure that you're getting some nourishment before the night gets started. Okay? So we're arriving here basically at least a half hour prior to, or we're arriving here, we're taking a shuttle over to Salem, and that's where kind of our fun begins. So when you get to Salem, the first thing that you're going to see is where it says that purple kind of diamond up at the top. It says King Queen Limo Pickup and Volunteer Entrance. The shuttle is going to bring you right to that spot at Salem. Okay, so you're going to enter through those doors. You're going to bypass what says volunteer check-in because you're not a volunteer, you're a buddy. And that's how we designate where different people sign up so we don't have huge lines in every area. Okay, so you're going to pass volunteer check-in. You're going to follow that dotted line, which shows that you're walking right through our kitchen at Salem. And right when you get through there, you're going to see buddy check-in. That's where anybody that's a buddy belongs. Okay, so we have a table there. They will perform buddy check-in. Okay, when we talk about buddy check-in, what are we talking about? You're going to get a card with your name. I don't have any separated here, but it's literally just a card. Okay, that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get any other things behind me just yet. You're just going to get your name. Okay, we kind of have a rhyme or reason this year that looks a little different than any year previous. And this is just based on if people are previously paired, meaning that their king or queen requested a specific buddy be paired with them. In addition, if a buddy had requested that they are going to be meeting somebody, a king or queen that they're signed up with, we want to make sure this year that we are very smart about making sure that those matches happen and that we don't match anybody incorrectly. So we will have an area for people that are previously matched that we know that we're pulling from the right table. So there, when you get there, you are going to have people that are going to assist you on where you should be sitting, okay? We also, again, are trying to make sure that we're not having you wait forever. So we're kind of keeping you in order. It's a little bit different than something we've done in the past, but if you're the first to arrive, we'll try to make sure that you're one of the first people that's taken out to take out your king or queen, just again to kind of keep things moving along and so that nobody's waiting longer than they have to. So those are new things this year. So if you've done that before, that looks a little bit different, but we're just trying to do things better every single year that we do this. So where it says buddy check-in, that's where you're going to go. You're going to get your name tag, and you are going to wait in the buddy waiting room. Okay, again, you're going to have a snack there if you'd like to have a snack, and you're going to wait for your kings and queens to arrive. Again, first king and queen are arriving at 4:30. They're going to arrive by that yellow star there that says King, Queen, evening check-in for prep. They're going to walk through the front doors of Salem. They are going to be greeted by at least 4 to 6 guest check-in volunteers that are going to be helping us to make sure that they get paired with someone for the evening. Okay, so this is where we start to learn about all the fun things that we get to hold on to for the day. So we all get to become husbands who carry our wives' purses, except it's lanyards. So let's see here. We've got 2 different kinds here I'll show you. We have 2 sets of lanyards here. The difference is really going to be the color. We have a red lanyard and we have a blue lanyard. As you can see, If it's red, you and your king or queen would be paired both red. Same thing if it's blue. The difference between these is whether or not the king or queen may be triggered by a sensory input. This doesn't necessarily, this could be lights, flashing lights, it could be loud noises, it could be clapping. So we just want to make sure that we're being respectful of our kings and queens throughout the night. If they have that sensory input trigger, then what we want to do is to make sure that we're being respectful of it. That means that throughout the course of the night, if you are paired with a king or queen that has this red border, everybody that's trained kind of knows to look for this. So it's not just you that we're asking to pay attention to this. We're also asking anybody that's volunteering in any other area to pay attention to this. So for instance, if you're going to Here to Cheer, they're going to be paying attention to this. They're going to know what to do. But it's just very important that you understand what that red border means, okay? So your king or queen is going to be basically, they're going to have this blue border or they're going to have that red border based on whether or not they've indicated that there's a sensory input concern to be made aware of. And there is going to look like this. I'll pass it around. It literally says buddy, and it says Sheboygan County. Okay, buddy, you're a buddy, so you're going to put on the one that says buddy. King or queen is going to put on the one that is for them, and both of them have the exact same information. That's what's great about it. Okay, so what we have is their name. Makes sense, right? On the back, our buddies have been asked, or our kings and queens have been asked a lot of questions, and this is for your sake. We want to make sure that we have all the information that we could possibly need for our kings and queens throughout the night. Okay, so on the back of the card for both the king and queen and the buddy, you will have the same information on the back. And again, I'll pass these out, and I do have PDFs of them as well that I'll send after our learning today, just so you guys can see them and be reminded of them. On the back, what we're getting is their name, their emergency contact for the night. We're going to get their emergency contact's phone number. We are going to have, if they're enjoying the respite room. Our respite room is here at Christian Life, and the respite room is for our caregivers. It's for our parents to be here. Are we live streaming the event this year? We're live streaming the event. So what we do is we do have it live streamed downstairs. So our caregivers, our family members can actually enjoy seeing the prom from downstairs without having to necessarily come up. It does not mean that they're not welcome to come and visit us. They are allowed to come and take a peek, maybe take some pictures. We're absolutely happy to have them up there. But ideally, this is a really fun experience for our kings and queens. Maybe their only time to get out and have some fun, but it's also their caregivers. Maybe that's their only time to maybe have a break, right? And so we want to make sure that while they're here, they're enjoying their time as well. We've had massage therapists volunteer their time in the past. We have food downstairs for them as well. Again, we just really try to make it a relaxing and wonderful experience for everybody that's involved. So they're here, and it will tell us if they're staying here or if they're going to be off-site. Most people come and stay for the afternoon. So that information, again, is on the back of your card. It will also tell you your arriving and departing time, contact, because it could be different. You could be coming with a group of people and just leaving separately. So we want you guys to know who's coming to get them. And then you will have your awareness areas and any medical notes. So again, on here, this one says wheelchair accessibility. They are not dependent on a wheelchair. So the answer to that question is no. Will the guest be dropped off and picked up by a parent or a caretaker? And then it goes into their medical notes. So things like allergies. Maybe they can eat meat, but they can't eat it off of a bone. So you don't want to give them chicken wings. You'd want to take that meat off of the bone. Maybe they need their food cut up, things like that. So before we go any further, any questions about what information you're being provided?
Don't have time to read it half the time.
Take the time.
And I'm like,
And that's a great point to bring up. So the minute that you get your information, right, this is hanging, just kidding. The one that says buddy is hanging on you, right? We are going to be walking through the rest of the prom experience while your king and queen is busy getting maybe their hair done. Maybe they're busy getting their shoes shined. Those are great opportunities once you've met them and they're with someone else getting services. That's a really good time to kind of scan this card and figure out what needs you might need to be cognizant of as you go through the night. That's a great point. And since Kelly just brought that up, in your packet is another document or a resource. There is a very short video that I sent out on this as well in the emails. But again, this is just the resource that kind of supports that. And it is about how to help your guests regulate. And it does kind of talk about some of those redirection tactics that you can try to use if necessary. And again, one of the questions that we do actually ask on the intake form, a lot of people will share that type of information. So it would be on that medical note on the back, where it will say, won't stop eating, so you might have to redirect, right? And I mean, honestly, if you gave me cookies, I'm not going to stop eating them either. So, so those types of things, obviously, we just kind of pay attention to. And we, again, if we can't say no, and we want to make sure that we're just redirecting. So, just as Kelly said, do you want to go play karaoke? Hey, I heard that there's games. You want to go take a look? I'm just trying to redirect them to something else whenever we can do that. So, thank you for bringing that up. So so far we know we have our name tag or our name card that we received in the buddy check-in room, and we have just been introduced to our king or queen. We know that we're getting 2 lanyards, right? First thing we want to do as our king and queen is getting set up is we want to put our name tag in our lanyard so that we know what our name is, right? So we want to put our name in our lanyard so that it's facing out kind of behind the border, just like this one here shows, okay? So you're gonna put your name tag in your lanyard, and now you have the rest of your king and queen's information. We talked about what's in the very back. We always wanna make sure that we can see that, so don't cover that with anything else. Super important that you can always see their name and of course their information on the back. The other thing that you're going to receive that you're gonna wanna make sure, I have it staggered in here for a reason, is their announcement card. The reason you want it staggered in here is because you're gonna have to pull it out at some point while you're at Salem and give it away to an MC. So it just makes it easier than trying to fumble through the plastic when it's on your neck, and you're gonna wanna hang on to that. So don't go ahead and put this in your king and queen's lanyard. Keep that with you because you know you're gonna get it, you're gonna hand it off. Throughout the course of the night, we talk about our kings and queens. They are our honored guests. So anything we can do to honor our guests while they're with us is super important. So once we meet our king and queen, we don't want them to hold their own coat. We're going to take their coat, right? We are going to make sure that we're doing those things for them. So we're going to ask them if we can take their coat. If they don't want to take off their coat, fine. They can keep their coat on. We're not going to argue with that. However, they're most comfortable is how we want them to proceed with the evening. So we just want to make sure that we're offering it and that we're doing everything we can to make them comfortable. So we meet our king or queen, we put our name in our lanyard, we're wearing our lanyard, our king and queen is wearing theirs. Where are we going and what are we doing? Well, the first thing we're doing is one thing I think of things as I'm going, guys, sorry. One thing I want to point out is that this is not a date. Again, that is in the some of the documents and some of the videos that you will watch when we talk about connecting with our kings and queens. At no point throughout the night do we want them to think that this is a romantic relationship. We do our best to try to make sure that we have a male paired with a male or a female paired with a female. Sometimes that's just not the way that it goes, and we have to pair a man and a woman together. But again, we just don't want them to ever feel that that's a romantic relationship. We're all here to kind of make sure that we're chaperones throughout the night, not necessarily their date. So I would be careful about using that terminology whenever possible. We're taking our kings and queens and we're going to chaperone them through Salem. So the first thing that we're going to do is get them ready for the prom. So as you can see up here on our map, we have a king prep and we have a queen prep. Pretty obvious, hopefully, what's happening here. Our kings are going to go to king prep and our queens are going to go to queen prep. In there, I think it kind of says shoes and boutonnieres for the kings, and for the queens, they're going to get makeup and they get their corsages. So their crowns, that's right, corsages are what they get, thank you. So they get their crowns there, and of course, I forgot this because what girl wants her hair to get ruined? We don't want it to get ruined. So we get our hair done with our crowns in it right away, and then we also get our makeup done. Kings are going to get their shoe shined, and that's where they get their boutonniere placed on because it kind of takes a little bit of time, and we don't want to do that when we announce them for the MC and here to cheer. Okay, any questions with that? None of you have to be a hairstylist. We have people working in all of these areas that are going to support this. So we have volunteers that are doing every piece of this. So you're just there to tell them that they look great, tell them that they look wonderful. Again, you're paying attention to this card and taking in everything because we might not have a chance to do it later. But that's what we're doing, right? So we're just there for them to encourage them, to tell them that they look awesome, help them pick out their makeup, whatever it is that they're doing. So after they're done with king or queen prep, you will see it says king and queen staging room. This isn't always a necessary space to be. If we are having a backup, let's just say we have a lot of people showing up and things are taking a little bit of time in one of the rooms and we're kind of getting backed up, just to prevent anybody from having any concerns with sensory input, we might start to slow things down and have people kind of go into that staging room for overflow. But if we're seeing that things are moving along, we're not seeing huge lines, then we don't necessarily need to go to the staging room. We're going to follow that red dotted line. Going back down the exact same hall that we came in, we're passing behind the check-in where the kings and queens checked in, and we're going all the way down to the end of the hall. So it's truly a long hall. You pass the entire sanctuary at Salem, okay? So you're going to pass the sanctuary, and at the very end there, where the cursor is now, it says introduction of the king or queen. That is where you will lose this, okay? So again, what's going to happen if you have the red bordered lanyard? They're going to be paying attention to what's going on here as well. They're going to be seeing this. You're going to hand this off. If you're wearing the blue, okay, if you're wearing the blue, they're just going to take this and they're going to start to introduce you, your king and queen. If you have the red, they're going to ask you to wait a minute. And the reason, again, is because if you have a red lanyard and we don't want to worry about that sensory input, we're going to have them stand back a little bit, wait for whoever was in front of us to pass through, and then you're going to have, and I think you saw it in the video, if you were paying attention, you would have seen maybe somebody with a sign. It said, quiet, please. They're going to walk ahead, quiet down our here to cheer group, because we want to make sure that we are doing what we call, silent waving, silent clapping. So you're going to see some of that. And all of those things, again, are just intended to make sure that as they go through the event that they're enjoying it. So again, we're going to have somebody paying attention to that. They're going to walk ahead. They're going to make sure we quiet everybody down, and then we're going to walk through. So on that card that I was talking about that you're handing off, before you hand it off, while your king and queen is getting their hair done, while they're getting their shoes shined, besides just taking a look at all the medical notes, peek at this. This is your in. This is how you start to connect with your kings and queens. What's on it? Everything they love. So Katrina here, her fun fact, she loves sports. She competes in sports. She's in the Special Olympics. She was a gold medalist in the Special Olympics. She loves watching the Packers, the Lakers, and the Brewers. Okay, full transparency, I know nothing about any sport. My first year that I did this, I was paired with somebody who loves sports. I was like, what am I going to talk to them about? Well, it was great. All I had to say was, so I hear you like sports. I know nothing about it. Tell me about it. I never spoke another word, and I speak a lot. So that's your in. This is how you're connecting with your kings and queens. This is really helpful information. So again, even if you don't know anything about the subject that they're talking about, they're going to teach you everything that they know about it, right? So really important, before you give this away, go ahead, take a picture of it even on your cell phone, right? Keep it with you. Now you know everything about your king or queen, are really good starting points throughout the night. While we're talking about cell phones, at this point, they're actually encouraged. Okay, we're okay with it. There'll be, I think, QR codes that are usually out where you can send any pictures that you take throughout the day or throughout the event. You can send them there. We love to see the pictures. In this instance, everybody has already signed a waiver saying that they're okay with that. So it's okay to use your cell phone. It is not okay to be ignoring your king or queen because you're on your cell phone, but you're definitely welcome to take those pictures, and that's absolutely fine. So just know that that's okay. That's a question we get a lot. So goodbye is your announcement card. Just as you had seen in the video at Salem, you're going to walk through. Here to cheer is at this point here. I think we have a cheerleading Plymouth cheerleaders coming. I think we have a football team coming. In the past, we have had, I don't know what the bike team is that's come in the past. They're not coming, just kidding. They're not going to be here. I made that up. So we usually have quite a large group of people that do come. It's packed. So here to cheer, you can kind of see in here right after the crowning ceremony is where people check in. If somebody you know has never done this before and they just kind of want to check out what Night to Shine is and see what it's about, they can show up and do here to cheer. All they have to do is sign that they're coming in. They get a little name tag and they can sit in there and they can hoot and holler. And acknowledge our kings and queens. Great opportunity just to see kind of what it's about. So the MC, we're handing off our card. We're saying we're giving that away. What is the MC doing? Well, this is where our queens will get their corsage, not their crown. And this is where the kings will get their crown. Okay, so they're going to receive those items. Typically, I think in the past we've had Miss Wisconsin or we've had Fairest of the Fair. Somebody is there to help to do that. It just makes it feel, again, a little bit more special as we go throughout the night. So they'll get that. They will proceed down the red carpet and they're going to be kind of heading over to where it says volunteer entrance limo king queen pickup, right? As you will see as we're passing along that, there's a sensory room. So as Kelly was saying before, we do have sensory rooms at both locations. So our sensory rooms, again, are for anybody. They don't just have to be somebody with a red banner or a red border. It can be for absolutely anybody. If we are noticing signs of our king or queen maybe being uncomfortable, we can step into the sensory room at any point, even if we're in king and queen prep and we're just noticing that they're maybe looking a little overwhelmed, maybe they're covering their ears, rocking. Again, there is a resource for that in your pamphlets here and another video on that was sent in that email that I sent out earlier this week that kind of goes through some of those things that you can visually be watching for and some of those cues that we should be paying attention to. Okay, so at any point, if our kings and queens are just not feeling 100% comfortable or we're noticing any of that, we can go into that sensory room. We also have volunteers in there. Okay, volunteers in there are very well versed in helping to support you throughout whatever you need. There's usually the lights are dimmed. Sometimes there's soothing music. Sometimes we have books or puzzles, things like that, just things that might just bring us down, try to calm us down a little bit. So just know that that's there for you and be aware of where it's at should you need to use it. What questions do we have so far? I know I talk fast. None? This is unheard of, but I love it. Okay, let's keep going. So we have limos and we do have wheelchair transport vans as well, so that all of our kings and queens are going to make it over to Christian Life, which is where we're at. They are decorated, the vans. So even if they're not a stretch limo, we try to make them look as festive as possible. Again, we're trying to keep that theme throughout the entire night and just really making sure that everything feels really special for our kings and queens. So we are loading into a limo. How are we getting in there? I don't necessarily mind how you get in there. I do mind who's in last. The last person into the limo or bus should always be a buddy. They should always be a buddy should always be the person closest to any exit. Again, this is just for safety reasons and because when we do get to our next destination, which is here at Christian Life, we want to also have our buddy be the first person out of the bus or the limo. Okay? Of course, they can help with getting our kings and queens out. We also will have volunteers there doing that. But again, it's best practice and it's the safest thing for our kings and queens. So we just want to make sure that as we're getting into those buses and limos that we're making sure Buddy's the last one in, Buddy's the first one out. Okay? So we are going to get out of the bus. The first thing we're going to see is, again, more volunteers. They're going to be paying attention to your lanyard again. And I'll start passing those around in case you guys want to see them. They're going to be paying attention to your lanyard, again, because you have another red carpet there. So sorry, let me just put the announcement card in one of these and pass these out for you all so you can take a look at some of these if you want to. You can pass. Thank you. So again, this is what we call our paparazzi. So we get out of the bus. Again, Buddy's the first one out. If we have the blue lanyard, we're going to be allowed to just walk through. If we have that red lanyard, we're going to be stopping. We're going to be pausing. We're going to be waiting for whoever was in front of us to pass through. Again, we're going to walk with the sign that says silent or quiet, please. And then anybody that's in the paparazzi, you're going to again see doing not flash photography and hand waving versus clapping. There it is, quiet, please, welcome our guests. So that is what they will see, and they will walk through paparazzi. So now we're here as buddies. We are probably holding onto jackets or taking them back off of our kings and queens. So we don't want to hold those all night. We do not want to be responsible for them. So we are going to coat check them. So we also have volunteers doing coat check. Sometimes the coats are kept together on one hanger. Sometimes they're just kept next to each other. I do not have a picture of the actual tag, but there's a tag you should likely be getting that will go to you, that will help you to retrieve your coats at the end of the night. Where are we putting that? not in our King and Queen lanyard. We are keeping it again on our person. We want to keep that with us. And one thing I forgot to add at the very beginning, you likely will get a tag when you arrive, when your King and Queen arrives, that will tell you their pickup time. So just know that. I forgot to add that. In the past, they've looked like this. I don't know if they look like this anymore. Again, whenever you get it, in your lanyard on you. And again, try not to cover up the medical notes. So I'm sorry I forgot that, but I want to make sure that you all know that. That's their pickup time. So, okay, so we've gotten through paparazzi. We've handed off our coats. We've received our coat tag. We put it in our lanyard. We're not covering up our medical notes. We're at the prom, okay? So this is the fun part. This is the relaxing part. As Dean mentioned, the photography or the photos have changed a little bit this year. So still required, meaning we need all of you to make sure at some point you get your king or queen to our photo booth. So we do not have a photographer at Salem this year, many reasons why, but primarily if it was holding up people getting here. We don't want to do that to our kings and queens. They want to get to the party. They want to enjoy this part of it. We don't want to delay it any more than we have to. So we're going to get them over here sooner. And so we have a photo booth this year. We truthfully do not know exactly where it's going to be just yet. We're debating back and forth. Is it going to be, do we have it finalized? Oh, I've got conflicts of opinion over here. Kelly, okay, Mary, okay. So the ladies say that we do not have a firm place for it. But we will have one. When I find out where it is, yes, it'll be well displayed. You're going to see props because again, we want to make it fun. So you'll see props and things like that that you can use to go into the photo booth. When we get the updated map, I will send it out to all of you in an email. So you guys will get the updated map. You'll know exactly where it will be located. I promise it will not be a guess. But as Naomi said, it will be hard to miss. Okay, so that is your photo booth. It is something we're asking that all of you make sure that you do get to this year. But again, just in a new space where it can be a little bit more part of our prom, and we're getting our kings and queens here a little bit quicker. So again, just like we've all been at a photo booth, we have that. Your lanyards are somewhat big enough to possibly, if you can be careful how you fold it, not to fold it right through their picture. You could certainly try to store them in your lanyard. Again, trying not to fold it right over their face or anything like that. So pay attention to where you'd be folding it. But I was just going to say, they're not, okay. Yeah. So something a little different this year. Great question. Thank you for bringing it up. But so that is something absolute required. We want to make sure that you guys get to it so that our kings and queens have those pictures to take home, but just a little bit different this year. What else is at our prom? So you will see through the corridor that all of you came through to get here is games and activities. So we have those set up for our kings and queens. You'll see a little yellow rose there. What that is to remind you that there's a safety committee. Okay, if you see somebody wearing a yellow boutonniere, that means that they're part of our safety committee. If during the course of the time that you are here with us, you are having any concerns, they have walkie-talkies on them. They can help you with looking at your lanyard, putting you in contact with maybe a family that's downstairs in the respite room. Again, you will see on some of the cards as they're passed around, it might have said something like, we'll need to take their medication at 7 o'clock. You are not caregivers. You are not responsible for handing out or administering medications. That is for the people that are downstairs in the respite room. They would come up and they would manage that, okay? So we're not expecting you to do those things. So if you see that on the back of your card, full transparency, the parents or the family members, the caregivers probably know what times they might need to be coming up to do those things. So they're pretty good about knowing it as well. But again, if you can pay attention and know that, you find a person with the yellow boutonniere, they've got that walkie-talkie on them. They're messaging right downstairs to say, hey, I have, Joe Schmidt with me here and he needs his medication. Can you just send up his family members? Okay, so yellow boutonniere means that they are part of your safety committee and they will help you out. Again, we're going down games and activities. As I said before, karaoke right here. You're standing in it. It will not look like this when you come. In 16, 17 days, they won't look like this. Okay, it'll be karaoke. Sometimes this place gets so busy in here, they love karaoke. The gentleman that we have that has done it the past few years is amazing. Everybody loves him as well. He gets right into it. It's pretty awesome. So the permanent light fixture here of this light up here, that it's part of the decor and it now stays here every year. So we have karaoke in here. You will see that it says sensory area kind of right through here. Again, that's where our sensory area is here at Christian Life. So again, kind of just know where they're at. Same thing applies here. There's going to be somebody sitting in that room with you. They're here to help, okay? So if you need to take time in that sensory room, please just make sure that you know where it's at and know that it's available. Directly to the right of that, it shows the respite room. That's below us, right? So that's where our caregivers are. And that just kind of shows that they're here and what they have going on in that area. You will also see volunteer food and water. Yes, you may go down there, but you can't leave your king and queen alone. We're encouraging you to be upstairs and enjoying the food with your king or queen. I'm not necessarily going down there, but if you need a break and you just need to step away, you're going to be looking for what we call a floater buddy. Floater buddies are you. They're going through the exact same training as you, but maybe we had a king or queen that didn't show up. We have a few extra buddies. Otherwise, I will be there as a buddy. A few of the other teammates, see, I work for Aurora, you can tell, calling everybody teammates. A few of the other volunteers that are on our buddy coordinating team will also be floater buddies at the end of the day. How will you find us? We will be wearing glow sticks, typically around our necks along with our lanyard. So when you get to the prom, if you're seeing somebody with a glow stick, they are floater buddies. Literally their job is to tap in for you, right? Give you a little bit of a break. So you need to go to the bathroom. We don't want you taking your king or queen with you. We do not want you to, obviously you do not have to, we don't want you to have to take them with you for the bathroom. We want you to be able to step away too if you need it, right? So you're going to find that floater buddy. You're going to let them know that you're, how long you think you're going to be gone, and you're going to ask them if they can sit with your king or queen. Again, that's why it's really important that your king and queen have their lanyard on at all times, because now somebody else is stepping in for you, and we need to make sure that the information that they're wearing is their information. That's why it's really important that it stays on them. So make sure they don't take it off with their coat and get rid of it, right? So we want to keep that on them so that our floater buddies know exactly what they need to do. But if you need one, make sure that you find one. While we're talking about you guys going to the bathroom, please know that you are also not responsible for taking your kings and queens to the restroom. We will have bathroom attendants, and they will help with that. So you do not have to go into the bathroom with your king or queen. Bathroom attendants can help to support anything that's needed. And again, if a caregiver is required, we'll make sure that we get that for them. Okay? So we've kind of discussed karaoke and some of the activities we have. If we go back to where the prom is, you will see event food. That's where Kelly and her team come in. And like she said, everybody over there in black and white, that is our food service team. And they are serving us delectable food. We've got pizza, we've got all kinds of things, all the sweets, no chocolate fountain. Just putting it out there. It's been there in the past and everybody wants to know about it. So just don't even bring it up. It's not a thing. No chocolate fountain. No chocolate fountain, no glitter. Okay? Those are the tool rules. So event food, this is where you can pick up your food. Within the prom though, there's still all the tables are in there. So you can sit down, you can eat with your king or queen. Within the prom room at the stage area is where we'll also have another DJ that is playing amazing music. And then throughout the center, that's our dance floor. So that is kind of the prom. Okay, and anybody coming to this event has signed a waiver regarding photo use, but also anybody coming to this event is really excited about having their family member be part of the celebration. So they want to see the pictures. I get a lot of emails afterwards saying, hey, my buddy was XYZ. Do you have all these pictures? I wish that I did. The truth is that we don't have a perfect pairing system where I know exactly who everybody's going with. And to try to track that as we're trying to move people through without causing people to back up, it would be really difficult to do that. So I personally do not know who every single person gets matched with. I have been doing this for a few years, so I do know some of our consistent kings and queens for sure, but I don't know them all. So if you know their name, you're welcome to get that information. And when we talk about this ending piece here of the prom, you're welcome to, as you're working with their caregiver or their family, to exchange that information and ask if you can send information to them. I've seen that happen before, and sometimes I get CC'd in them and I just get like 15 pictures, and it's awesome. I love seeing it. So I'm going to keep us moving along because we're almost at time, and I want to make sure that we at least get to the closing parts of the prom. So for the prom, like I said, we're at the prom. About half hour to 15 minutes before prom is done, you will start to see kind of volunteers, everybody kind of pushing people into, we're not pushing, but we're gently nudging them toward the prom. And the reason that we're doing that is because Tim Tebow will have a special message for our kings and queens. So we want to make sure that everybody hears that message. And that kind of is that kind of signifies the end of the prom is coming. That's where you're going to start taking a look at those pickup times and making sure that you know when your king or queen is getting picked up. Again, you want to try to gather their things before they're supposed to be waiting for their caregiver to pick them up. So really important, if it says that they're getting picked up at 8:55, at 8:45, 8:50, depending, you're going to kind of get to know your king or queen. Are they ready to go, or are they going to take 20 minutes for you to get ready, right? Just like our kids sometimes. So we want to make sure that we're making every effort to get them where they need to be. So that means getting their coat. We do have swag bags. And also really quickly, that's where the balloon drop comes in after Tim Tebow does his thing. That's where we will have Mylar balloons. We do not do latex because of allergies. We'll have those Mylar balloons balloon drop. That's where, again, we're going to go then find our swag bags. We're going to get our coats for our kings and queens, and we're going to wait based on whatever our time is for our caregivers to arrive to pick up our kings and queens. That is the event in a nutshell. Real quickly, the only thing I want to remind you guys is never to leave your king and queen alone. I know we talked about it, but I just want to make sure I say it a few times. So do not leave your king or queen alone. Yes. There's always a group picture at the end. They'll usually, call everybody then right after. It's typically after the balloon drop. Where they'll do that group picture. Yeah, appreciate you all coming. Again, if you have friends that might want to do this, Saturday 9 a.m. is another class, and I encourage you to send them here. We need more bodies. Thank you all for.
What's up, Night to Shine volunteers? This is Tim Tebow, and we are so excited for Night to Shine 2025. Thank you so much for giving of your time, welcoming people with special needs into your community and church family. Thank you for praying. Thank you for serving. Thank you for loving each and every king or queen at Night to Shine so well. Why is Night to Shine so important to me? Because when you tell a king or a queen just how much God loves them, how valuable they are to the God of this universe, everything about everything changes. And we do it all for the one. If it was just for one, it would be worth it. And God is using Night to Shine because of individuals like you to change lives all around the world. Whether you're a buddy, whether you're helping serve dinner, welcoming parents, welcoming caregivers, or you're paparazzi on the red carpet, what you're doing matters so much. And it may seem like a small job, but man, in God's economy, it has a huge impact, and we'll never know the ripple effects. But we believe that God is on the move. And we are just so incredibly thankful for individuals like you who have helped make Night to Shine possible. We are seeing so much growth in new countries around the world, so many people joining the movement to celebrate God's love for individuals in the special needs community in over 50 countries around the world. Your heart to volunteer at Night to Shine is what makes this growth possible. With your help, we are able to reach more and more lives every single day with the love of Jesus. Romans 12:10 tells us, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. And isn't that what Night to Shine is all about? Showing honor to every single king and queen. Man, I love it. That's why Night to Shine is one of my favorite nights, because we get to honor so many people who have never been honored in their life. And thank you for being faithful to that message, to that ministry, to showing the love of Jesus and bringing that faith, hope, and love to so many people that desperately need it. Guys, there are so many more that we have to get to, but thank you for starting in your community and loving those with special needs. God bless you guys, and thank you for being such a big part of Night to Shine.